Hello everyone. Every so often, the devs put out small changes to various parts of the game. Sometimes it's just a new coat of paint, like the new story text format. Other times it's to make way for new features, like the redesigned memory screen, or even the battle screen. Yeah, we didn't have that at one point. I think it got added for upside. There's a small part that the devs have mostly been ignoring, however, and I think is overdue for a touch-up. The memento tab. Okay, ignored is a bit clickbaity. They do keep on top of the archives and retrofit tabs, but all they really do with the place is just add a few one-panel comics every so often. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate they go out of their way to make these, but they're the kind of thing you look at once, smile at the cute antics and ignore until the next batch comes out. So all in all, about half of the tab is kept up to date, and I'd argue the most impactful part remains untouched. For example, collections. Remember these? Probably haven't been there since the last time you went scrounging for a few extra gems, but it's still here, largely unchanged from the early days. Pretty sure the last time they did anything was when Enterprise got an updated chibi and they had to swap out her old one with the new. Lately we've been starting to fill out some classes. The Vittorios, Illustriouses, Joffreys, Richelieus come to mind, but then plenty of others. Not to mention themed collections. How do we not have one for the Kido Butai? Or the Ugly Sisters, or Bismarcks, or Rheinberg, whatever. I can understand if the devs are a little apprehensive about touching this. Some of these ships aren't permanently available yet, making filling out collections difficult. It would suck having some collection rewards be out of reach because you're waiting for a particular ship to get a rerun or archive. You think that would be a big problem? It would give players an incentive to collect all an event ships. Not that they necessarily need one. I don't think I'm too far off the mark when I say that the majority of the player base runs with the fleet must grow mentality. But hey, collections are a source of free-to-play gems to help the fleet continue to grow, or buy more skins and rings. Another thing that's just been left, the jukebox. Gacha games have this weird thing where on the one hand they're built on inherently predatory game design, even if AL is incredibly generous with summoning resources, but on the other hand, soundtracks are pretty damn good. Which makes it a shame we only have a 17-song tracklist, dated from the first or second year of the game, at best. The past two events alone have had about as many tracks. I could understand if they're worried about file size. Azur Lane is pretty big by mobile game standards, but background music has a separate download, and it's not like it goes away after an event has been run. A good portion of them play in cutscenes, so if you played an event, the song will still be accessible. But it would be nice if I could just go to the dedicated music player and just play a particular song, instead of going through the cutscenes just to find a few places where the song plays, if it even does. Hell, we don't even have the pieces that are permanently available in-game. Why even have a jukebox if you're not going to let us listen to it? This isn't just a game problem, they're bad at it everywhere else too. Very rarely do they release music elsewhere like Spotify or other sites, except for a few rare occasions, like I believe the Bismarck event, and the other Bismarck event. And sometimes the names get a bit spoilery, like, what? Please guys, you have good music. Let us listen to it. We may not be able to count on legends like this forever. And while we're on the subject, here's a few favourites of mine. Lastly, the gallery. This houses a collection of loading screens and cutscene art from the early days. Similar concerns as with the jukebox. The cutscene art is already in the game, so it won't cause too much bloat, hopefully, in the game's file size, but loading art is a different beast. There are a lot of loading screen art, and I have no idea if it's still in the game files. I know there's a separate download for the gallery, so people worried about the game size could just not download it, and it may not be as big a deal as I'm thinking. It's also much easier just to find all the artwork compiled in an easily accessible place compared to listening to the music or the gameplay relevant collections. It would still be nice if it was accessible in game though. Hopefully these get updated sometime in the near future, but to be completely honest, I'm not going to lose sleep over it if it doesn't. The developers' time and resources are better spent on making new content to keep people engaged in the game, rather than unnecessary but appreciated quality of life changes like this. But anyway, I'm going to end it here. If you're watching around the time this comes out, have a Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, whichever is your thing. And I will see you in the new year, where I will finish the French Gear Lab. Catch you then.